Welcome to John McGivern's Main Streets, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of this popular TV program.
I love it!
You'll hear from John, Main Streets producer and director Lois Maurer, and that episode's content producer, as they share some of their favorite memories from filming and interesting stories that you won't find anywhere else. Today's episode, Iowa City, Iowa.
Iowa City, our 11th episode of season 2. Ken was back. Ken Sheldon was back as the content producer, and I am here with Lois and Ken. Lois is, of course, the executive producer and director. So the 11th episode. Again, Ken, did you? Is this your choice? Let me guess. You went to school there.
Yes, I did. So what do you think is going to happen when I see Iowa City on the list of possible cities, the long list? But it was touch and go there because we had a lot of college towns on the potential list, and even Big Ten schools. So I was like, are we going to get to go to Iowa City? But some cities, they ebb and flow. We said yes, we're going to Iowa City. So I had to raise my hand. I went to film school there for 4 years. Of course, I'm going to do this episode.
Was it much different than you remember it?
It was way different.
Oh, wow.
Of course, I went to school there a few years ago. Things have changed.
How many years ago, Ken?
A lot of years ago. And I've been back occasionally, so I've seen a little bit of, new building here, new building there.
Right.
But the other thing was, as a student, of course, I wasn't a tourist. I didn't do like touristy things. I kind of hung out in that downtown area, Ped Mall and the old Capitol area. I didn't go out to far and wide seeing things. So it was good to research this town and learn more about this city.
Yeah. Was there anything that you wanted to do before you went and researched it? Made our list?
That I said has to be on the list?
Yeah.
Well, of course, I knew the old Capitol is this focal point, the old building with the golden dome, which, by the way, they were re-gilding that dome this summer. Just for us. No, not just for us.
It's always like that.
But what I didn't know is the scaffolding was up. Like, it took much longer than expected, as everything always does.
Yeah.
And that scaffolding was up on the dome until like days before we got there.
Oh.
So, I'm so glad it got off of there for our shots.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't tell me that, because I would have been sweating bullets. Like, oh my gosh, is the dome going to be okay? Because it's the centerpiece of Iowa City. Come on.
The first thing we showed up in town, and the first thing we did was our manufacturing.
Yeah.
So we went to Procter & Gamble, and they have a huge presence in Iowa City, don't they?
Which they have a huge presence in a lot of communities.
Mm-hmm.
This in Iowa City is their toothbrush plant.
Yeah, yes. Oral care.
Yeah.
Oral care. And they have 2 of them.
Yes.
They have the manual toothbrush, which is just a toothbrush.
The one you have to actually work to brush your teeth. Remember
when
those?
they said this is our manual division, I was like, oh, I guess it is.
And then they have the electric toothbrush, which is less manual, I guess.
I guess. And that was a beautiful, that plant had to be one of the cleanest plants I've ever been in.
Well, it better be.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Good point.
Yes, that was really nice.
A lot of what we saw was the packaging line, so where they're putting stuff in the forms and putting it in the boxes, and a lot of that is very automated. Now, for our folks listening, what you couldn't see, they do have microchips and high-tech processes, but that's proprietary stuff. So
they let us see it, but we couldn't shoot it.
Yeah, and in my research, I knew P&G was this big employer in town. They also have a beauty care product plant. So that's at least 3 things in town.
Shampoo and stuff.
Yeah. And so John, should I have taken you to the beauty care instead of the toothbrushes? I was like, where would John have more fun? I pictured a giant vat of lotion or something. I don't know. That's probably not what is in that plant.
Dipping in. No, I think this was the best. Because at least we saw.
Interesting to see.
And then,
and let's talk about the building it was in. So we drove up.
Oh, this
to
was
the
really
P&G
weird.
plant,
Yeah.
And I'm looking out the car, and I said to them, check the address. I think this is a Menards. And we got in, and what did they say?
No. I said to Lois, that's ridiculous. This is not a Menards.
not a-
What do you mean? It looks like a Menards. I was like, oh, that is. We got in there, and the first thing they said, this used to be a Menards. Okay, who's the fool?
Repurposed perfectly because for them it works really well.
Yeah. And kind of on the outskirts. So that's the first thing we saw was the outskirts of
Right.
Iowa City.
Right.
So
So
it was
it's
like,
sort of
now
the
this
opposite.
isn't
Yeah.
it, is it? This can't be.
Right.
Is this
right.
Main Street?
But then when you drive in, what did it remind you of?
Madison.
It does because, we live in Wisconsin, and obviously our big college town in this state is in Madison, Wisconsin, and it has a vibe. Every college town has a vibe. They're all slightly different, but you know it when you're there from all the bikes and the scooters
right.
and the people.
A lot more
activity.
mopeds than back in my day. Why didn't I get a moped when I was there? That would have
Right.
been so much easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The real story at the University of Iowa, if you're a sports fan, other than, obviously Big Ten football, is the Children's Hospital that overlooks the stadium.
Yeah,
because
that's-
they have something called the Hawkeye Wave, and if you ever watch Big Ten football and you see Iowa play, it touches your heart every time you see it.
And it's one of the newest traditions because that building is new, that's overlooking there. So just in the past few years has the Iowa Wave become a thing. These kids can watch from the deck there in the hospital. These kids are in the hospital, battling these major things. They can look out and watch the football game, and at the end of the first quarter, everyone turns and waves at those kids, and I get
It's
goosebumps
very
just
cool.
thinking about it.
It's very cool.
that they
So
do
we
that.
got to go up to that deck and see the site of the empty stadium, but talk about the fact that what an inspiration for all those that are
Yeah.
ailing the kids.
And then we went down by the stadium because we wanted to shoot some scenes, and it's a really great stadium.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production. So come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv. I've got to talk about insurance. Are you stressed and overwhelmed with your Medicare Advantage plan options? It's ironic, really. The thing you need the most causes you stress. And it doesn't have to be that way. I chose Network Health because it's not stressful. For 40 years, they've provided health insurance to Medicare members throughout Wisconsin. And their customer service, let me tell you something. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. So if you're looking for a Medicare Advantage plan and you want to be relieved of stress, you got to call my friends at Network Health. Call 844-277-7174 today. That's 844-277-7174. Don't wait. Did you have a favorite, Lois?
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is just from maybe it's a mother's perspective, but my very favorite was the Unimpaired Dry Bar, because I had never heard of one before.
When we went to the site survey, we're like, really? In a college town?
In a college town. And at first I was like, we've done a lot of stories, and we've all been to a lot of taverns that have what they call mocktails. That's become kind of a thing now. They have mocktails. This is an entire dry bar set down in the middle of a college town. And as a mom who has had college kids and will have again, it's a great option because so much of what you go to the bar for is the camaraderie and the goofing around and the whatever's on TV and your whole friends are there.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have to get sloshed? No. There's a place for that. I'm not saying that, but what a great option to have. It looks exactly.
It's got the vibe of a bar.
It sure does. Yeah. It sure does.
Well, John, you make an excellent point. You were in the interview, you were talking to Angie, and you're like, and it must be easier to clean up at the end of the night. Right. She's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about people's behavior just before closing time, and the floors are easier. It's just nice.
And they have quite the space. I mean, it's like I thought, this is going to be a
little hole in the
simple
wall
room.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, they did it right.
Yeah. And the bartender, who that's what they call him, he's the bartender,
Yeah.
James, was just adorable and charming. And those recipes aren't like, okay, put some Sprite and orange juice together, which is what I would do. There's some in science to that. There's some chemistry.
Yeah, but there's a discussion though around all of it because he said, "Here is the Manhattan or the old fashioned.
Yep.
This is a booze-free old fashioned that I make." And he made it, and I tasted it. And I'm like, "Ugh, it tastes like liquor." So
But he's
why Would you want to have the taste of liquor? Now, I'm in
Without the
recovery.
liquor.
Now,
and
I was going to say,
discussed
now,
that.
this is a different
So,
discussion for you.
I've been in
because-
recovery for 30-some years, and it's
Yes.
like the thought of drinking something that tastes like liquor is like stupid to me.
See, and for me, I would be like, what a great option.
Yeah,
It still
yeah.
tastes like an old fashioned, and I'm not going to have.
That's like NA beer. I don't get it. Like I
Right.
don't. I'm not. I don't want. No, I don't want it.
Well, the good thing is a lot of people do get it. I
Yeah,
guess.
they do.
And
They do
that
get
bar
it.
is doing well, and I hope it. And it's really franchisable, which is
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah,
first thing
yeah,
we
you're
walked
right.
in. I was like, okay, would you put one of these in Madison, please?
Yeah. One
Yeah.
thing that was not franchisable, which you would think that it would be because they're all over, but the Prairie Lights Bookstore,
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
like that
Well-
is incredibly specific.
Yeah.
And it's very Iowa City.
And you asked, is there something that I thought had to be in there? Well, boom. Prairie Lights Bookstore and the Writer's Workshop.
Right.
The literary stuff that Iowa City is
because
very
it's
literary.
called the literary city.
Yeah.
It's the city of literature. We heard that from 3 different people and not at Prairie Lights.
Oh, yeah, really?
We heard it and I was like, okay, what does this really refer to? And it refers to is that there are more writers square inch, square mile in that city than anywhere in the, so all of those writers that make their way to Iowa City and stay there is a story.
Yeah, every coffee shop in that town, there's someone writing their novel, writing their
Right.
poetry,
Wow.
whatever it might be.
And we had a chance to talk to the woman who owns Prairie Lights.
Yes.
And then we had a chance to talk to the woman who is the director of the Writers'
the
Workshop.
Iowa Writers' Workshop, which that's the big deal.
World
the,
known.
The magnet that draws everyone.
Right.
The Iowa Writers Workshop is the first writing program in the country that offered a degree for creative work. So the University of Iowa started it all.
How many people are in this program?
Between 95 and 100 students in the program.
How many people want to be in this program?
There's like a huge number of applications. So like in fiction, fewer than 3% of the people who apply to the program get into it, which apparently makes us harder to get into than Harvard Business School. Why didn't they go to business school? Their lives would be so much more stable. The thing is
I have some advice.
no.
Business school.
They come because they love writing.
course.
Yeah, this is the greatest town for writers.
It is.
I mean, there's writers' names carved into the sidewalks. It's in the air.
Yeah. What was your favorite, Ken?
Well, we've mentioned, the Prairie Lights. Oh, Hisham at the Crepes place.
Oh.
He was Lois and I, this was one of our spy missions. We didn't know which restaurant we were going to do in town. We always try to do a restaurant. So we went to the Crepes place, but didn't tell him that we were from a TV show.
This is during the site
During the
survey.
site survey. Yeah, during the site survey. And just to kind of see if we would, if the food was any good, right? And if it was a good place. And we thought, this guy, we talked to him a little bit, and the crepes were fantastic. So we thought, yeah, we'll keep him on a short list. We'll look at some other places. So then I called him back and said, hey, we're with this TV show. Would you like to be on it? He said, oh, yes, I'd like to be on it. It's great. I've done things like this before. I know just what to do. Well, could John do something with you, make a crepe? Oh, yeah, I know exactly what we'll do. I know. So he was set. He was ready to go.
Yeah, he was good.
The only thing that was really hard about that at the crepe place was you were not eating there. And so he made these delicious looking crepes and you took like one bite of every one.
Yeah.
And I was like, John, I don't know how you do it. You have willpower that I do not have. So
Well, that's, yeah.
I think that one was like mid-afternoon, so you probably just had lunch, and then here you go to the crepe place. But
they're works of art too.
Oh, they are.
I mean, this isn't
Yeah.
like, hey, throw the crepe and throw some, like I make for my kids, and you just throw the chocolate chips on the top. There you go, done. Oh no, this is not that.
Every time you reach a flavor, you bite on feta and it's salty, and you bite on sun-dried tomato.
A little bit of chicken, you can just, it's full
So
of flavor.
each bite
all of it.
is different.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. So you enjoy with your eye first, and after you dig in,
That's dangerous.
You want to fight over this?
I'd win. We have to talk about Wilson's.
The apple orchard.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I got to give a shout out to Emmy, because Emmy was doing her research. I think an old neighbor of hers or something used to live in Iowa City. She said, I asked my neighbor, and they said, Prairie Lights and Wilson's Orchard, and that wasn't really on my radar. So
Yeah.
Emmy got this one in there, and really cool place.
Emmy Fink, we're talking about, the other co-host here, who she's really more of a history type of bent is usually what we have her do, but she also researches and, you know, comes up with sometimes things that we weren't on our radar. And we were there in apple season. Literally, Honeycrisps were going to be on his shelves, if you will, in his store like
In
the
a few
next
days.
week.
Yeah.
And so they were
Fall.
all ripe, and we were able to go into the orchard, and apples are fascinating. I just thought, you know, an apple. You got a couple of kinds. He
It's
has
a
80.
world.
He has 80 kinds of apples.
There used to be 100 some on there.
Right. But he has made that into a year-round business.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
When they didn't start it, they bought that business, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just a 3-month business of apple picking. And they've turned it into the store and the event space and the
Restaurant
live
and
music that they have and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's great. Yeah.
You can experience so much at that place. You know, the whole pick your own stuff, and and it's from the beginning of summer till the end, because there's everything to pick.
Yeah, right.
He has
not just
berry
apples.
patches.
Right.
It's a beautiful spot on the rolling hill there.
Yeah.
And the
It's really
trees in the
gorgeous.
distance.
Could
Yeah.
have got lost in the sunflower patch. He said people go and take pictures, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Wilson's was really fantastic. The other thing that was surprising to me was the Devonian Gorge. First of all, Devonian, I'm like, what happens there? I wasn't
Yep.
familiar with that archaeological term or geologic term, I guess.
Well, I wondered why didn't I know about this Devonian Gorge? Oh, it wasn't washed away and revealed until after I was there. So, okay, I
Right.
have an excuse to not know about it.
Right.
No one knew about it. A rainstorm came through and washed away and exposed ancient fossils in the middle of Iowa.
Right.
So-
That they let you walk all over.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
they
the other
turn it
thing.
into
It's
a
like
park.
this isn't like there's stanchions set up and you can't, you know, be careful, don't step on the fossils. Are you kidding? They're walking all over.
Like, no, walk on them. We got more where these came from. Yeah.
And she wasn't a.
She's a park ranger, right?
No.
Yeah, Shauna, she's like with the Army Corps of Engineers.
That's
Oh,
what
that's
she's
it.
with.
Yeah.
Army Corps of Engineers.
And also a park ranger. Like she's got a really long title.
Yeah.
But she was the one I was
but
talking to
she
get information.
doesn't do some of the same duties as a park
Yeah.
ranger.
Yeah.
Because she's with the Army.
But she does know everything about those fossils. Because once she started talking, I was like, what language is this? And then I'm like, John, we need you to put it in English.
Brachiopods and cronids and yeah.
Bring it down to my level, would
Yeah,
you?
she wanted, and she knew it all. She was great, though. Can I tell you, she really, and she was wide open to show us anything.
Yeah.
And part of that was to get you out of Iowa City. You know, we want to show the downtown area, but then also show like Wilson's and the Devonian, the variety of landscapes that are around town.
I thought it was a real good choice for one of our Iowa episodes. So we did the Amana colonies, and we did Iowa City in season 2.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a beautiful episode.
Good choice, Ken.
Good
Oh,
choice,
thank you.
Ken.
I'm glad I chose that school way back when.
No, it was a great episode. Thanks, you guys.
Curious to find out where John is traveling next? Head over to our website, mainstreets.tv, to learn more. Again, that's mainstreets.tv. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and please leave us a review. It helps more people discover great programming like Main Streets. Look for us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to follow all the action. John McGivern's Main Streets is produced by Plum Media in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.